Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We talk at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same. So listener discretion is advised. Now, let's walk the path of night.
Last time on Path of Night, the Coterie woke in their new haven. Britta and Miles rallied from the effects of the psychic assault. Britta called Neil, discovering that the Malkavian was with Weathers on a mission against the Sabbat. Weathers told Johnny that the rave needed to happen sooner rather than later. Neil gathered intel about the Sabbat's crusade and found out about a traitor exchanging information about Miles' diablerie to Carmen. Neil and the Bruja ran from a horde of Ravnos. Meanwhile, Ira received orders from the Tremere to bring them Eden.
So leading her from the rooms to the kitchen dining room-esque area where the other two have been hanging out.
Britta has not put herself together, correct? She's still in sweatpants and bunny slippers and hair messy.
The bunny slippers are the only addition to what she's done here.
College 8 a.m. class.
Wynn kind of gives her a look. Do you want me to do your hair?
Britta doesn't look back up at Wynn, but there's a self-conscious, shy nod, and she does go over to Wynn.
Right, Wynn kind of sits on the arm of a comfy couch and has Britta sit on the cushion and just kind of very gently starts brushing her hair.
Thanks.
No problem. As she had come up the stairs, Wynn was finishing up braiding her own. Eden's still asleep. She ate, I'm going to say 3/4 of a pizza. I tucked her in. I figured she should probably just sleep some more.
She is a growing child. I'm sure it'll be good for her.
I mean, here's hoping. So, we've all seen some stuff. It's been a very weird week. I'm going to propose right now that for the purposes of getting it all out there, we don't get mad at each other for decisions we weren't there to help make. We don't get spun up on what we would have done better. She kind of looks at herself in the mirror and does the look watching you thing to herself. And I don't care who starts, but if you need to tap out for a minute, just walk out. And Wynn just continues brushing Britta's hair, starting at the bottom, working her way up, trying not to pull. And she just kind of makes eyes with everyone in the room except Britta because she's looking at the back of her head. But Britta can probably feel her looking at her as well.
We can start with city updates. As you are aware, Rollins is dead. We raided his house during the day and staked him, and then came back to finish the job in the evening. During that excursion, Zophiel took control of my body and hostage me.
Uh-oh.
When he says that name, a shiver runs up everyone's spine, and you can't quite put your finger on what's going on, but you get this sense of unease.
Miles?
Yeah.
Just call him Z from now on, please.
Any reason why?
You are flippantly talking about a demon.
I'm going to assume that's a bad thing.
I mean, it was a superstition that I had, but, like it could summon him.
Like Ira and Reese said, there is power in names.
Good to know.
He's just Z.
I mean, how did you guys even do that during the day?
I possessed one of the ghouls that Rollins had dismissed. I had taken them in. I had done some preparation, and with a little help from some of Neil's magic, I was able to possess his body during the day.
Okay.
You can see Johnny is kind of like pacing back and forth in the kitchen area. He's like opening drawers, looking in cabinets and things like that. How the hell do you stock this place with everything so good you don't put a fucking carton of cigarettes anywhere?
Did you check your bedside drawer?
Yes.
Linen closet?
He just kind of he puts his hands on the countertop and just kind of hangs his head and just kind of nods.
I mean, the den does have a selection of cigars.
Oh shit, yeah, I'd take one of those.
Johnny just kind of frowns and goes stomping over towards the den.
So, during that process, I was out of my body, so he took a vote and I wasn't there to stop him, and then he hostaged my body.
But he's not in you anymore.
No. I released him of our previous bargain, and he left my body intact.
And that's all he wanted in return?
Yes. He is free. I did get protection from somebody outside of the Coterie.
Who?
Elsa.
Wynn, as your brush runs through Britta's hair, you feel her crunch into the couch.
Wynn kind of stops brushing for a second. It's initially she thought she pulled her hair or something like that, but when it doesn't go away, Wynn is just kind of paused for a beat. What about Elsa, Britta?
I think she's probably dead.
Why do you think that? And she kind of resumes brushing like she's trying to maintain her own level of chill.
Because when, basically there was a gala and she was there and the Sabbat attacked it and Britta kind of trails off and is trying to, you can see that she's like holding like this list that she's written kind of closer to herself and closing her eyes and kind of trying to like go through the list to center herself.
Wynn just kind of puts her hand on Britta's shoulder. If that's an event in something else, do you want to start from the beginning? Or do we want to continue on Miles first and we'll get back to this?
Britta shrugs. She that kind of decision, she seems so overwhelmed that kind of feels like it would be like treading on someone else from her perspective.
Wynn looks to Miles. Why don't you finish up with what you're talking about?
Johnny comes walking back into the room, clipping the ends off 3 cigars. He puts one in front of Miles, one in front of Wynn, and then lights his own with his Zippo, and leaves his Zippo on the coffee table between the two of them. Goes walking off back to his post in the kitchen, puffing on his cigar.
At that point, we had secured both the Chimere and the Toreador support within the city, and was able to declare praxis.
And that's the night the princes showed up?
Princes showed up a little bit later.
All right. That was when the children of Hakim showed up?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, the city is currently a refuge for Assamites.
There's some numb nodding.
Not too many days later, the princes showed up. The event with Kabir happened, which I'll let you cover.
Mm-hmm.
Then we held our first court for all the strange happenings in New Haven. Not quite sure exactly the timing on that.
I don't think anybody's sure on the timing on that. I keep on replaying those nights in my head, and none of the timeline makes sense to me.
No.
It's a blur. There's a lot going on as we secured the city. We provided money and whatnot for many of the residents that Rollins had access to, and to buy security for many of the residents.
As Miles talks, Wynn is just still twirling Britta's hair around her fingers, trying to just like play with styles. Nothing elaborate, just mostly an excuse to kind of give a soothing touch if Britta still seems to want it.
You can feel that she is leaning into the physical comfort, that like the soft touches, even though Britta seems very inclined to pull away right now, to shut down right now, that you can feel that the action is helpful.
That first night, that is when Wynn was declared sheriff, Johnny was seneschal, and I believe Primogen currently.
I am too, but I'm a clan of one.
No, you're
currently.
Primogen before.
I'm still fucking furious with you about that.
Noted. Most of the other the Primogens have stayed the same. Same with the Scourge. And then we got attacked by some of the prince from Newark. I'm not quite sure. He declared praxis, and me and Johnny stopped it aggressively.
Neither of you seem like the type to do it passively, so that tracks.
Yeah. And then I think that really leads us to Ira showing up with, not too long after, Ambrosino Giovanni, where we met him, went out to deal with the thing that happened to Wynn at the hotel. Then we ended up going to the Chantry.
What happened to you at the hotel?
So that's a story within a story. Her fingers continue to work. She seems to be having fun with someone who actually has a bunch of hair to play with. So that's kind of a story within a story. It wasn't long after Miles became prince. The day after, maybe. 2 days after, maybe. Again, time got weird. I got a call from Kabir. Johnny got a page from him that he wasn't okay. He was in trouble. And so we went to his hotel, and he was largely, I would describe it as just twitching. Just his brain wasn't all there. He wasn't all there. And there was something on TV about the storm in Bangladesh. Then he tried to attack, and we got him staked. I turned off the TV. The TV turned back on, and I stayed there. I must have left at some point because I had books I was reading. And then Mr. Perfect showed up, and I tried to get one over on him, and for a minute it felt like it didn't work, and then it did. And so I've got him off doing something to help Joey. But Kabir was there when he showed up, and now Kabir's not there anymore. And I tried so hard to find him, and I can track people's beasts. It doesn't matter how well I can see or not see, I can track people. Kindred, specifically. And it just always brought me back to the hotel room. So knowing that now that there's something going on with his antediluvian, she seems a little hesitant to say the word, but that ship has sailed. So it wouldn't surprise me if it played out any number of ways, that he was there and I couldn't see him, that he was there and couldn't see me, that he wasn't there at all and was tricking me into thinking that his beast was.
Back it up. What are you talking about, his antediluvian? The thing we fought is a shard of...
Ravana is the storm in the east.
What the fuck is Ravana?
The Ravnos antediluvian.
Johnny has kind of a faraway look for a second as he pieces together the connection of Ravnos and Ravana, and he kind of goes still for a little bit.
I'd heard the name in myths and legends before, but that it has real world consequences is unsurprising, yet still I'm surprised by it.
Reese had confirmed the connection also.
Yes.
So we're talking about two now.
Reese seemed to think, I wonder if that's tied to the shard connected to Vito waking and going haywire and everything.
Wynn ponders this for a minute. She pauses, playing with her hair as she thinks, and then continues. Are you
trying to tell me that some piece of flesh in New Haven can sense a storm on the other side of the planet?
It seemed like it had really heightened awareness, and it definitely was able to hit hard psychically.
I mean, it makes sense that if a predator appears in a place where you've been unchallenged for so long, if you are also a predator, that you would take pains to try and assert dominance in your territory. So that all tracks with me.
Reese had also referred to it as the eldest.
It was able to lash out and rip parts away. So I think that it would be able to do, maybe it's like me or like Neil, where it can, well, maybe not like us at all, much better aspects.
What do you mean it ripped parts away from you, Britta?
The tightening again.
She continues running her fingernails over Britta's head, and her hand kind of cups her forehead for a second and just kind of pats her, and then retreats back to just styling her hair. You don't have to talk about it, but it sounds like Miles went through something similar.
She blinks, and you can kind of feel her nod, but whether she's following your advice that she doesn't have to talk about it, or whether she's flinching at something unseen, not particularly clear.
So anyway, I was in the hotel room. I just kind of used that as a base while I was looking for Kabir, and the TV was on, and it was always about the storm in the east. And I don't know if that was some chemistry trick or if that was genuinely the only thing going on in the world worth putting on TV. But I destroyed the TV because it was a pain in the ass and I was tired of listening to it. And then dozens of starved, crazed vampires showed up, and I swear they were real. And they broke through the window and they came through the vents and I couldn't get away and they took me down. And the next thing I remember is Miles being a condescending jerk and trying to get me to wake up. And I've never been so glad to hear him being a condescending jerk. And she kind of gives a grateful look to Miles.
Figured anger might work better than anything else.
Yeah, you've got me in a box here, man. That's pretty much what I do. But I woke up and saw Ira, and Ira mentioned that I would be working with him on behest of Mr. Giovanni. And then we got the call to go to the chantry.
Just before that, Johnny had an unusual encounter.
I did. Johnny has settled down at this point. He's actually found his way into a chair and has stopped fidgeting and pacing back and forth. It seems having the cigar in his fingers and being able to smoke on something has calmed him quite a great deal. Last night was a hell of a night.
Yeah.
Yep.
The prince from New Jersey and his goons tried to praxis Miles, and we took care of that. And then I got a call about a raging lupine.
Oh, shoot.
Near Yale.
What?
We have
Is
like two
everything-
of them captured still.
Oh, we do.
2 lupines?
No.
Sorry.
Two of the goons from New Jersey.
Like the prince? Or,
No, he didn't make it out.
Miles still has his penchant for taking arms.
where are they?
In a secure holding cell.
The prisoners from New Jersey are staked and tucked away in a room.
Anyways, I think you're the one who put them somewhere.
Yeah, I took care of that.
So we've got the 2 displaced prince boot party locked in a closet somewhere, and the lupine is where, Johnny?
In my haven. I know that's an exceptionally bad idea. Look, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure, I think the lupine's related to the one we killed at Elysium.
You'd be surprised if it wasn't. They don't usually seek out interaction with us.
I'm not sure it was acting of its own volition.
Why don't you start from the beginning?
I got a call from the Hunters, the group that my daughter's a part of. They needed help.
Suarez and Ramirez, are they okay?
Ramirez is okay. Suarez, I don't know. My daughter Jessica she's okay. Joey's mom didn't make it.
Fuck.
I was right there and it was pretty bad when.
God, I hope he didn't see it. Oh God, I hope he wasn't there.
This werewolf it looked almost rabid. An animal that kind of has lost sense of itself. You should have seen the destruction this thing wrought. Her cars overturned. It looked like a fucking war zone.
I get that you fought a werewolf before, but, the way that one was tearing through people, there was nothing, I don't think you could have saved Joey's mom.
That's not the...
How did they hold it off until you got there?
It barely did. When I found Suarez, he was pinned against a wall under a car.
Jesus.
And this thing, it was, I unloaded all of the silver bullets into its head. It should be dead. I probably should have kept trying. I probably should have torn it apart. I probably should have just drank all its blood and gone on a frenzy myself. I should have done something.
How would that be better?
Because it wouldn't be here anymore. But it still is, and the best place I could think to put it was my haven.
And then we would have had to put you down.
No getting mad at people.
You're right. Bad win. She intently, takes tiny strands of Britta's hair so she can hyper-focus on braiding.
I agree with you. The options I had for trying to kill this thing were exhausted. And I figured the best solution would be to put it somewhere that it might have a hard time getting out of. The basement under the Sherwood's a labyrinth, and hopefully that bomb shelter can keep that thing in, and it won't get out and hurt anybody else. I'm gonna have to get over there and deal with that eventually.
Maybe we can talk to they.
I'm increasingly becoming worried that part of what's driving it crazy is the same thing that's driving everything else crazy. If Ravana is causing the flesh in New York to catalyze, causing it to go crazy in New Haven, maybe it's also making the werewolves crazy.
I have no idea what they're about.
Like some kind of weird radio signal in the air that only dogs can hear, you know what I mean? I'm also still worried to hell about Jessica. Hell, I'm even worried about Suarez and Ramirez. Fuck. They've got Dashwood in a car with them.
How many people do we have locked in places right now?
I don't know. Neil somehow got inside Dashwood's head and was... I don't know how half this shit works.
And
he was there for a moment, and then when I tried to ask him about what was happening, he was gone, and Dashwood was in torpor.
Like Neil's body was somewhere else, but Neil was in there, and you could see him kind of...
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, that happened to me, too.
So anyhow, our hunter friends are on the run, either crippled or dead. They've got the Keeper of Elysium in the back of a taxi. And I'm sure they fucking need some help. And God, I think they're still planning on going after Hell House. I'm sure that place is a freaking mess right now.
Well, I think Reese might be headed there too, so that's going to end badly if we don't get involved. That's not any guarantee that it's not going to end badly, but...
After our discussion here, maybe you should reach out to some of the hunters.
I think we can do that.
I was wondering if maybe they'd be better at keeping Eden safe than we would.
Johnny kind of looks at her like that's like with like a kind of a shocked expression, like holy shit, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
and kind of like nods his head a little bit.
Depends
I was wondering the same thing.
on how they view her.
Well, I know that she's kind of kindred, but
Sheila is the reason I didn't try something stupid with the werewolf. I'm pretty sure she and Ramirez both think a lot higher of our kind than we thought they might.
I mean, Ramirez brought pizza. I think he's a straight shooter. He's just a little confused.
The only thing I'm worried about is if we can actually trust Eden with them. She is still a vampire, isn't she?
Seemingly. She drinks blood at least.
But she ate half a pizza.
I think she would be safe with them. I don't know if they'd be safe with her.
I don't know if they can protect her either.
I think we have to let go of the notion that she's going to be safe anywhere. I think we have to focus on where she'll be safest.
Also, that call was from Weathers. Sounds like he's in New York dealing with some shit. I tried to warn him, but...
Weathers said Neil's with him, so when Weathers comes back...
You mean Kabir?
No, I mean Neil.
Neil's with him too?
Yeah.
That fucking shady bastard didn't tell me that.
I was Neil's cell phone on the line.
Well, there's a goddamn party down in New York.
I wouldn't imagine he's down in New York by choice.
No, I trust him. You're right. He's probably there for damn good reasons. I don't know what the hell Neil's doing with him, though.
What did he say he was there for?
Some kind of exchange. Trying to garner support for the Anarchs.
I mean, they could use it.
We could use it.
Well, the Anarchs may support us if we play our cards right.
He also said that we really need to get this Brujah rave together. I need to put a call to arms out, try and get as much support in this region as we can.
I thought you guys had a rant really recently.
We had a rant. What we want to do is a rave. A little bit different. It's a Brujah party, so to speak, and it's often custom that Brujah can bring along people from outside the clan to a rave. And they tend to be a little bit bigger than a local rant, and when they happen, oftentimes it's to discuss pretty big matters. And sometimes call to arms goes out. That's when our clan comes and forms ranks. We don't do it very often, because more often than not, we'd like to beat the hell out of each other. But when a call to arms goes out, we generally respect that, and we form ranks. Weathers wants to call to arms against the Sabat invasion, but considering we're dealing with possibly, he looks back and forth at Wynn and Britta, not really willing to say antediluvian himself.
Antediluvian.
Yeah. And if that's the case, I think we might have to put a call to arms out to all sex.
I've been thinking I need to... The former Gangrel Justicar left because of something he found in New York. And I think he might be interested to know that there's people willing to do something about it. So maybe a thing is in order as well.
A what?
A thing, it's like a Gangrel rant.
Wait, that's his proper name?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a Germanic base, I think, but...
Well, all right.
And Wynn starts braiding Britta's hair with purpose.
How many braids are in there?
At this point, there's two little ones kind of on the sides, just kind of hanging there for now. Mm-hmm. And then she's kind of starting at the top, like a French braid or a Dutch braid.
Oh, she's giving her a proper one of those Wynn battle braids now.
Yeah, exactly.
I assume that you've been braiding her hair and then unbraiding it and then rebraiding it like over and over again.
Yeah, she's been going through a myriad of braids. Braids are pretty much what she can do.
7 different braids on her head at the same time.
Yep. As the conversation kind of turns more towards the future than filling each other in, when very gently and slowly kind of tugs on the top of Britta's braid that she's putting in her hair, just so that they can make eye contact. And it's not meant to be rough. It's not meant to be intimidating. Just enough so that they can make eye contact. And Wynn kind of gives her a look, like the floor is yours when you're ready for it, and then kind of tips her head back down so she can keep braiding.
Britta is a little confused by this. She moves in the way that someone very polite at the hairdresser's would. At first, just directed to look up. But she's a little avoidant of the eye contact, and she does get the message. She kind of squares herself, moving just a bit away from Wynn, trying to look at the group at large, generally failing.
Wynn adjusts her body to continue braiding, so she's sort of perched on the back of the couch at this point.
So... Britta pulls out the little sheet of notes, like it's a personal anchor for the situation. After we killed the abbot, we had driven back to my haven, and I went inside to check everything over, and I felt this undeniable urge that I needed to go somewhere, being summoned. And when I finally got to where I was summoned to, Roman Pendragon was there. I got into the limousine and we started talking. And I apologized for us leaving Boston, and
was he mad about that?
Yeah. Well, he... You know how he said he was going to summon and kill us if we left?
I don't remember that, but I assume he did. Feels on brand.
He threatened something along those lines.
He summoned me and asked why he shouldn't, and basically I apologized for us leaving Boston, and I expressed that we still wanted to work together and that we could work together. And if we keep on cooperating, then, you know.
You know what?
He wants us on his team. And I said that we would be.
Not against working with Pendragon, but his methodology is the problem.
He's not someone who is used to being defied. So, I think that if we don't run and we talk about things, that in order to keep on working together, we'll need to keep better communication.
Between ourselves, with Pendragon?
I know that his methodology, there's more I should go in order, but...
Britta, you don't have to justify decisions you made in that situation. we should talk about them. We should figure out how to move forward with them, but I'm not going to be mad about anything you did, said, or otherwise had to do to survive.
Basically, after that, he took me back to his haven and told me that he'd be bringing me to a gala held by Prince Warwick to demonstrate the alliance between New Haven and Hartford.
Oh, all right.
Wynn sort of keeps her hands intentionally untense. It's sort of like holding onto someone's hair, someone she cares about, is keeping her from getting mad.
During the night, during the day, it's kind of confusing. I got woken up by a nightmare. And that was, I guess, when you guys were going to go kill Rollins, and it felt like that. It felt like, I screamed when I woke up, and it woke Prince Pendragon up too, and he said that it was like a vision from my auspex. And I could feel the noose slipping down over Rollins, and I don't know, but
that feeling like you're smelling the smoke and you can't see the fire yet.
And we ended up going to the gala the next day. And Elsa was there. And, she was trying to look out for me and make sure that I was safe. And that's when, Neil found me at the gala. He came with Fester. I think they were acting in some capacity as security, maybe.
Warwick is Nos, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Warwick was... Prince Pendragon had warned me that Warwick would react negatively to me between disliking the Toreador and Shaw being... Shaw was of Warwick's line too, so... And, while I was there, Warwick pulled me aside for an interrogation, effectively. But when I walked in the room, there was the people that you saw in the chantry. The blonde one in the trench coat, Shrike, and the one with all the teeth, Phantom.
When Britta says Phantom, she looks quietly angry. There's so many emotions roiling in her, but the anger from the chantry is left over.
You saw them in the Shadowlands.
No, they weren't in the Shadowlands. They were in the room.
But those were the ones you had seen in the Shadowlands?
I recognize Phantom, the one with all the teeth. I hadn't seen Shrike before. Well, of course I'd seen him before. I just didn't remember him at all.
Also, question, where was Pendragon when you were taken away to be interrogated?
When Warwick came up to us and asked that I come with him, I went with him, and it was tense between the two of them. They're allies, but I told Pendragon that I'd go, and I was doing my best to. It's really important that I did what I could to follow Pendragon's instructions.
Wynn kind of gives a nod.
He specifically wanted me to demonstrate that New Haven was safe and strong and in alliance, and to be the representation of our city. So I went with Warwick alone at first, and Warwick knew all about Hell House.
I mean, that makes some sense if he was talking to Shaw.
He's looking for more information about it. He asked me a lot of questions about it, but he seemed more like he wanted to kneecap the Coterie politically than like he was approaching it as what it is. It looked like he was looking for political control. And he knew that the Tremere had...
Britta kind of looks like she's gonna throw up, even if that instinct isn't quite there for a vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they had veto, and that veto was owed to Pendragon's army by Johnny, and he's looking to use that against us as well.
I just answered his questions straightforwardly. I tried to leave out things if I could, but most things that we know about Hell House he knows.
What were the other two doing there?
It seemed to me like they were there to manipulate him. Like they had arrived under the guise of being his allies that had given him information about Hell House and other things to use him in order to get information out of me or to get me into the room. It felt clear to me that they had caused the situation, and it felt like Warwick was reading my mind, like he was skimming the surface. I don't know how to explain it. When I would react to things like them speaking in Gamalish instructions that I couldn't ignore.
Gamalish?
That their language...
Whose language?
The Tamahara. That's what it seemed to me, that they were going to use... However Warwick was skimming my mind, he would recognize things in me, that emotional responses I had to them or little things like that, and they were listening to me talk too. It seemed like they had directed the conversation so that Warwick would feel that he was leveraging information politically, and he did have a lot of that, but that Warwick would feel that he was leveraging that information himself, but really that he had been directed to do it by the Tamahara there. Shrike, I didn't realize at the time, but I think he's my sire.
Which one was he?
The one who had the grenade launcher.
Blonde trench coat?
Yeah.
Why do you think he's your sire?
You've seen me do this before, this thing where it seems like I'm having one conversation, but I'm really having another.
Mm-hmm.
Elsa taught me it. It's something our clan does. Again, she looks briefly crestfallen, but she's trying to stay on topic. He looked at me and he did it like he knew I'd be able to do it back, or at least to recognize it. And he was taunting me during the meeting. But he said a phrase, I remembered it from my first night when I was walking through Haven, the club. Someone had looked at me and said, "Good for you." And he said it the same way, purposefully.
Well, he sounds like a shithead, but that's neither here nor there.
Things were getting worse, and then Prince Pendragon came in, and he protected me from Warwick. He got me out of the meeting. He had said that he would when he asked that we go to the gala. He said that if I did as I said, he would protect me, and he followed through on it. He kept his word. He got me out of there, and shortly after, that's when the Sabbat attacked.
What do you... attacked how?
Britta's been looking down, but her gaze migrates to the spot by Johnny's feet. When Pendragon got me out, Neil tried to talk to me, and I didn't want the interaction to go badly, and Prince Pendragon was already angry with Prince Warwick, and it seemed like there had maybe been some interaction between him and Neil before, and we started catching wind of things, and Neil noticed it first, a scent of blood and ash, and it was horrifying. There were so many Sabbat. They came from the ocean. Like they'd walked out beneath the water. Like they got together a campaign to destroy this party and all the elders there, and they were very prepared. And they were very successful.
Wynn kind of finishes the braid in her hair, just kind of ties it off with another piece of her hair, tucks the little braids in so that they're kind of decorating the main braid, and just kind of puts a hand on her shoulder.
I know what you think of his methods, but Prince Pendragon helped us survive the Sabbat attack too.
How many people got out?
I think it was some of the Nosferatu got out through some passageways, and Neil seemed like he'd sent some warning along, so maybe Malkavians. But it was like walking through sludge. Everything was ash and blood, and they lit the manor on fire with a lot of people in it, and they circled everyone, and they burnt all the cars, so there was no way out through cars, and very few people got out.
How did you get out? And Neil?
Neil knew of a back way, something that the Nosferatu had used to, I guess maybe like a staff entrance. And we ended up fighting our way through. We had to go back into the burning building to do it, and for some of it, my beast got the best of me, and I fell into fear, and when I awoke, Prince Pendragon was carrying me, and we were getting out of the tunnel. We got to Fester's truck. He must have parked it further away, and we drove away in that.
Is that the attack that took Elsa?
Yeah,
You said something about Carmen.
Carmen was there, and Doug Otto was there. The killing spree was doing a lot of the damage, too. It seemed like Carmen was there to specifically root out elders. When we had gone in the building the first time, I had been instructed to try to warn Prince Warwick. It seemed like he had already run away to get some weapons, and we tried to get Elsa out. We were looking for her, and she had locked herself away in a room, and we were trying to call her, and she got scared. I think it was maybe my fault because I said what the Sabbat were doing, and we broke into her room, and when we broke into her room, Carmen was in there, and Carmen put up this sphere of darkness, and she had pulled Elsa into it, and we were trying to pull Elsa out, and we were making a chain. It was me and Neil and the other Toreador in there, but we're not strong like Alessandra, and Neil said that he felt Elsa's arm turn to ash. So I ran and pulled Neil with me.
And you got away in Fester's truck.
Yeah. Prince Pendragon got us a hotel, and that's the last time I saw Neil. He was supposed to be in another room. I was really worried that I got him killed. Because,
why?
After, the end of the night and everything, the next night I woke early and the door was open. And I called out to see who it was, and the Tamalhera were outside. Well, not really the Tamalhera, it was Phantom, the one with all of the teeth, and it was Romeo.
You could see him?
At that mention, Britta looks around the room with Auspex checking for Romeo.
There is no sign of Romeo.
Oh, Johnny, I'm sorry. Pendragon knows that Doug Otto's your sire.
Nothing for you to be sorry about.
He saw the moon on my hand, and he thought I was going to be Black Hand, and I was trying to explain, and I was... Yeah. I tried to say I wasn't like Doug Otto, and he was asking why I knew Doug Otto, and I told him that I was Tamalhera, or that they took me.
Did he seem to know anything about them?
I don't think so.
So he'd been unwittingly working for them anyways.
I don't think so. I think they were working with Warwick.
It sounded like the way you're describing it before, they were unwittingly controlling Warwick.
I think so, yes. I think they were using Warwick's skill as a spy master and their own skill with acquiring information to make themselves useful to Warwick so that they could move him in the way that they would need for their objective.
Do you know what their objective is?
Yes. When they came to the door, they were trying to come get me. And when I called out, it woke Pendragon up, and he asked me who was at the door. He couldn't see them, I think. I don't know why, if it was something to do with, the way that I can see things that others can't, but they activated me. I went like I've gone before, and I lost control of myself, and I tried to hit Pendragon with a coffee maker, and I didn't succeed. I tried to, I didn't mean to. That was someone else. I am an agent, and I tried to dread gaze him, and it didn't work, and I don't think I'll ever be able to use presence on him again, and he didn't kill me, so that's good.
Take that as a win.
I'm sure he's been hit by worse.
And I ran, and by the time I could get control of myself again, I was in a van with them.
A van with who?
A unit, I think. I guess it was mostly my old unit. And with a strange expression, as if some information has somehow been shaken loose. With clarity that is unusual to Britta speaking about her past, she recalls a word. Cabot. They're called a Cabot.
A unit of this organization is a Cabot.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us who the people were?
Some of them weren't people that were my group. The name they called me was Canary, and everyone that was a part of my group had a name like that. There was Shrike, who, he seemed like me in some ways, but I space out when things are really pretty, and he seemed to not space out, he seemed to be caught in interest by pain.
Well, shrikes are horrible, murderous little birds. It makes sense.
All the names seemed to speak to who we were. Eagle. Eagle was the one that I saw in that vision flashback. It must have been a flashback. The one that was teaching me how to shoot. Phantom was there, and Romeo, and I couldn't tell if Romeo was under their control or if he was doing it willingly, or...
He may have just been trying to stay near you.
Yeah. And then there were a couple others. There was Tanakh, the woman who had started turning to ash. And there was the one that you saw in the ceiling, Perrin. He was the leader of the mission, and he explained that he was old clan Smeetsy. Like, he was a part of the clan that had fought against the Sabat Smeetsy. He explained that I had been brought for one last mission, and that they had done something like what Neil does, to look in the sky to know what you have to do to succeed at something, and that they had learned that they needed me for it, and that they were going to go and take out Vito, and they were going to take the shard of the eldest and put it in the Shadowlands.
Oh, God.
They thought it would die there because it's flesh, and there's not flesh in the Shadowlands, so they had this plan that way they could... I know, that's why I was asking you when we were there, but it seemed to make sense, and they had consulted necromancers on it, and they all said it would work.
I don't blame you, but we do need to pull a ticket and come back to that.
It seems like it wouldn't have been any worse, except people couldn't get to the physical side of it.
Until it decided to reach through. Some wraiths can reach through, and there's no reason to think that they, infected with this, wouldn't just reach back through.
I'm just saying that it possibly could already infect wraiths based on what you've just said its effect had been.
Well, again, pulled a ticket. We'll go back to that. Let Britta tell her story.
They were going to make me do it. I tried to leave. When we were in the van, I tried to make a run for it, and I fell into this... Looking back, I think it must have been Tanakh. At first, I thought it was something imprinted in my mind, that if I tried to run, I would just fall into a constant loop. But now, seeing what she was capable of, I think she must have done it. That I just kept trying to walk for the door. And Perrin made a deal with me that they'd leave me alone after this.
Do you think they're going to honor it without Perrin?
No, I don't think so. I'm sorry.
You don't need to be sorry for other people not honoring their word.
Tomahira.
I don't think they'll honor it because they didn't even honor their last mission. They left, right? They left.
They provided us support. Maybe they thought we had it.
There's a lot of sides here. Working against each other, with each other.
When we went to the Chantry, they had gotten contact over an acolyte, and I had tried to save someone before by not doing as I was told and refusing to kill someone, and that person had died really badly. They ordered me to kill the acolyte, and I thought that maybe if I did it, that he wouldn't suffer so much, but I couldn't think of a way that he wouldn't leave the scenario dead.
Who else did they make you kill?
Just the acolyte.
And who was the other person?
I'm sorry?
The person that when you refused to kill them, they died badly.
That was... Pendragon wanted me to feed with him.
Oh. Good old Pendragon.
No, based on what we saw in the Chantry. Might have been a favor.
It wasn't.
Sure.
Were they responsible for the other dead Tremere?
Yeah. We were sneaking in, and I was naive. I thought we would just slip past until I saw them dispatching everyone.
What do they do? What is the point of training like this? Do they just get deployed for specialized missions, or is there like a point to their organization? And you may not know.
The Tomahera does what they do, and took me for the purpose of making themselves into protectors of humanity. They intend to undermine vampire society's control. They believe that vampires are an awful blight on humanity. They're Naudists, like the Book of Nod, who they worship the antediluvians as bringers of the end, and they feel that the end is where all vampires will be judged, destroyed, and mankind freed. There's again flashes of recollection, like some dam is finally setting cracks in Britta's brain. They're the first sect of vampires, and they control a city in the underworld. Enoch, the place I was taken.
Roll Sabat Lord, Johnny.
Difficulty?
6. Oh shit.
2
All right.
successes.
With 2 successes, you know that Enoch is the name of the first city. It is the city that Cain made to rule over all vampires.
When I was first embraced by Killing Spree, Carmen's child, Rafi, was preaching sermons at me and all the other shovelheads. Crazy Sabat ramblings. But I remember a lot of what he said. And he spoke of Enoch, the first city. I thought that was garbage at the time. Ravings of a lunatic.
Britta looks ashamed. She pulls her gaze a little bit further away from Johnny.
Britta, you and I are so alike that we were both denied our mortal lives by insane cults of vampires with ludicrous motivations. I don't talk about what happened to me a lot just because I don't want to remember it, but generally I don't keep it secret. What scares me about you is that we're led to believe that either you genuinely don't know what happened to you, or you're very fucking good at keeping secrets. And I can't decide which it is.
Wynn kind of partially stands up on the back of the couch and just kind of lifts one of her legs over Britta's head so she can step on the couch and onto the floor. Wynn just kind of, like, she didn't have a plan for words. But she doesn't like that after everything Britta's been through, Johnny's choosing now to bring this up.
I see that look you're giving me, Wynn.
How confusing were your first months, Johnny?
Are these her first months?
You're the one who found her.
I did.
When Vito...
Is that a coincidence? Dropping off a young girl to be picked up by me of all people?
Then who do you think is playing us?
It's not been a secret that I have issues with a lost daughter.
When Vito
She's at the
looked at
center
me,
of
I want to explain when Vito looked at me and when all the, came out of him and there was some kind of psychic attack thing. It felt like maybe that started shaking memories loose. Once I had enough time to think about it, it felt like words kept coming back or touching at the edge of my brain. It feels like I'm starting to remember stuff, but I've been telling you guys what I remember.
All I'm saying is that she's at the center of an awful lot of bullshit.
A lot of things happen when she's around. Like Neil's been saying for fucking ever. Weird shit's happening. There are 2 gods apparently waking up.
And she's told us that she's part of an ancient vampire cult that worships these gods.
Then how are they really different than anyone else doing the weird shit in this world?
I'm asking her if she's been playing us this whole time.
And that's fucking insulting.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it fucking is, Johnny.
I haven't been. Please believe me,
I want to believe you. I care about you a whole lot.
I'm sorry, I never wanted you guys to come to the Chantry to help me. I know how much danger that put you guys in.
We didn't go to the Chantry to help you.
Maybe you didn't. Wynn is fully squaring up to Johnny at this point and glares at him. We are getting very close to breaking the rule I set at the start of this conversation.
What's this wee bullshit? Looks like you're the one who's bristling.
Oh no. No, I don't get like this unless there's a predator creeping on her.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Just because the fact that I'm not willing to deny the fact that I feel like my trust has been broken doesn't make me a predator. And the fact that you don't like to hear these hard truths coming out of my mouth, I don't know what that says about you.
I don't think you stand for anything, Johnny. I think you'll fall for anything.
That's a clever little turn of phrase, and I'm not sure what the fuck it means.
It means you have no idea where you're standing anymore. You're turning against the people that have been standing with you this whole time. You've said yourself that you care about her an awful lot, so what does it matter?
You guys, you don't have to fight. Everyone has done so much for me in this coterie. I can just... I can stop being a problem. I can leave.
It's not a fight. It is a culmination of all the stress we're going through. Johnny has questions. Is he totally right in them? I don't particularly think so, but he's allowed to ask them.
And I'm allowed to take exception to them.
You're allowed to disagree.
I don't know how either of you just think that it's okay that you're being incredibly naive, Wynn.
I think you're the one being incredibly naive. If you're not willing to believe the truth set out in front of you, you're looking for tinfoil hat conspiracies at this point, Johnny.
From the girl that came out of nowhere, trained by a death cult, showing up to the Chantry in tactical gear with a crew of cultists in tactical gear, off to with Roman Pendragon back and forth to Operation Longbows, parties attacked by the Sabbat. She's talking about antediluvians and Nodist lore. She's a walking tinfoil hat, Wynn. I don't have to look for any of this.
Wynn squares up more to Johnny. She is Britta.
Yeah. Doesn't change anything what I said, does it?
Maybe if you'd actually lost your daughter, you'd be a little willing to put faith out there.
That's a frenzy check.
Yup.
Because of how hard Tim worked on all of this, I'll give everyone a +1 die bonus to self-control checks.
I will spend a point of willpower.
Thanks, buddy.
Difficulty 8?
Yes, sir, Mr. Brewer.
That is 2 successes.
All right. It almost hurts how hard your beast rails against its cage.
And Wynn finishes her sentence, like I did.
You can see Johnny, his eyes are closed, and you can see him fighting down the urge to let loose and just start causing violence. Do you want to have a conversation with me? Or do you want to continue sticking your fucking finger in my raw nerves?
What are you up for?
I'm not the one poking the beast, Wynn. I'm trying to have a conversation. You're the one getting in my face and talking about my daughter.
Wynn kind of glares. She knows she pushed hard. She knows that if he had done the same, she probably would have also fought back. The beast would have done what it's done so many times before. Have your conversation. But this is Britta, and I think she deserves the benefit of the doubt.
She does. That's why I'm having this conversation. I care about all of you. That's why I haven't walked out on you. I got to see my daughter last night, and by all means, I wish I just left with her. It would have been a hell of a lot better than having to face down that fucking flesh dragon. But you all are too important to me, which is why I'm hurt and I'm confused about why and how Britta landed on our lap in the first place. I think that's a fair question. I think there's plenty of people that know that I'm easily hurt by a lost girl needing somebody to help her out. That could have been used against us, against me.
It's a very soft tap as a drop of blood falls from Britta's eyes. She's trying to hide it. She's keeping her head tilted down.
She very well could have been used against us, but I get the feeling that her memory loss was never part of the plan.
And if she was used against us, that's not her choice.
Tried to ask them about it, and they acted like it was strange, like they hadn't taken my memory. I was Johnny's right. Things have gotten worse since I've been here, and I'm more trouble than it's worth.
I don't think I ever said that.
Britta, things have changed since you've been here, and that may or may not have happened if you were or weren't here. And I, for one, don't want you going anywhere.
I mean, did you make any of those weird things we've had to deal with happen yourself?
No.
Then you haven't made things worse or harder or anything else. And in some cases, you may have made things better. Johnny has questions, and while Johnny is gruff, they are fair questions, and they help us come together.
I really only have one question. I want you to look me in the eye when I ask it. And he waits for you to lock gaze with him.
When Britta looks up, she's trembling, and it's far more apparent that she's been crying. But she does try to lock her eyes with Johnny. There's not the same will fueling it as he's used to. Other times that he's had her look him in the eye to steel up for a conflict. It's like that part of her has been shaken. She's trying. She's looking at him.
When she first meets his gaze, it is unrelenting and terrifying. Well, actually, I shouldn't say unrelenting, because at first he stares at her with intensity. But seeing the damage done by the psychic assault, his eyes kind of soften a bit, and his expression changes from this one of boring, drilling intensity into someone looking at a long-lost family member that they miss. I want to know, whose side are you on?
I want to be with you guys if you want me here. I don't know how to keep doing it. I don't know how to keep going with everything getting worse all the time. It was already too much to handle, and it just keeps getting worse. But I don't know how to keep doing it, but I want to keep doing it with you guys.
So your answer is you're on the side of this coterie?
Yes.
He stares at her first a few moments more uncomfortably than I think anybody would like. And the rest is water under the bridge for me. If you're part of this coterie, then that's that. Okay?
Britta swallows hard. She doesn't really seem to believe him on the first nod, and a hot tear falls down. She tries to nod to make it sink in again.
When she nods, he walks over to her and picks her up in a big bear hug and squeezes her very tightly.
She curls into the hug, just tries to disappear into him, basically.
You're on a nasty little odyssey there, kiddo, but I'm glad to have you back.
I'm really glad to be back. I was really scared.
You did good.
And I need to fix a lot of my mistakes so that we can keep going.
I don't know what you're talking about, fixing mistakes.
It's not what we do. We double down on them.
Johnny cracks a wry little smile and looks back at Wynn at that.
Wynn kind of gives him a smirk.
Miles nods because that is what we do.
Britta.
What?
Please don't talk about leaving us anymore. If we didn't want you here, you wouldn't be here. We always want you here.
Again, the yeah is muffled almost in the same way that it had been earlier in the night for Miles behind the hiding place of the closet and all the various pillows and everything. But this time, it's muffled into Johnny.
One more question, Britta.
Johnny puts her down so that she can look at Wynn.
Yeah.
And Wynn kind of like directs her to look at a mirror. Did I do okay, or do you need gel in the hair?
It looks pretty.
Well, it's on you, so of course it does. And she kind of like hugs her around the shoulders.
Britta hugs her back.
All right. Well, that's a lot of...
We really dumped out some purses there, guys. Nice job.
Yeah. Well, it's been a night.
Miles, you said that you had a phone number for Prince Pendragon.
I can get in contact with him.
I don't know how to apologize for trying to hit him with a coffee maker, but...
Hit him with a bigger one.
Yep. Let Johnny hit him with one.
Try a haymaker next time.
There is something I forgot to mention. This whole thing with Ambrogino Giovanni.
Britta actually bristles when you say Ambrogino Giovanni. Like she's back in a bit of a combat mode.
There's a thing he wants me to work on. I don't know who it involves. He mentioned the Tremere. I'm guessing that's part of why Ira's here. Has something to do with restoring humanity to vampires, to wraiths.
When we went to see him, Ambrogino, and he tried to bargain to you to trade me over to him.
Never. Not ever.
No, he did.
I know he did.
Just saying she would never do it.
I'm saying I would never.
Okay, sorry.
You're not a thing to be bargained with, and I think I told him that.
I understand, but the Tremere had a deal with him to hand over girls with crescent moons on their hands.
Eden.
That means that he was trying to make deals like that. And I don't think he gave up like he seemed to so easily in that conversation with you when he asked you to trade me. I think he's going to still be looking for Eden. I think he's going to still be looking for me just to make trades with people who aren't you.
For what it is within my power to do, he's not going to get you. He will have to dominate me. He will have to steal my soul. He will have to do unspeakably horrible things. And if I try to do something like that, you have to kill me.
That got morbid fast.
I have that effect on people. Either morbid or horny.
That is quite a spectrum.
I'm a protege.
I think the halfway between is the word is turgid.
Feels on brand.
Well, it's good to know that he's up to something odd in and around the domain again.
Well, he was never not going to be.
Yeah.
Britta, did anyone else in the Tel Mahira have a mark on your hand like that?
Britta searches her memory. Kind of, you get the sensation of trying to pull loose threads until something unravels. And something crystallizes, and she says, I think it's supposed to work that the moons only show up in the Shadowlands, and then when we're here, they're not supposed to show up. But mine, ever since we went to go see Ambrogino Giovanni, it's been there.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of his deal with the Tremere, there was a few other things. I don't know if I managed to cover them when we were in the Chantry about the Tremere. They had a list of people that they, were going to keep imprisoned.
The Seers.
Yeah.
His name was on the list.
Yeah.
You did mention that, yeah.
And they had some plan involving vicissitude to survive Gehenna. Reese said, trying to convince me to let Vito live.
Yeah, we had that similar discussion with him. Since there were other parts that we could get a hold of, he decided that Vito could die.
Yeah.
Or, he was just baiting us and hoping we would die. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be his choice either way. There are things in the world that harbor disease because they're just how their immune systems work, like bats. That's why bats are always getting tested for rabies, because they can carry it without becoming infected by it. And I'm guessing that using something like vicissitude as like a carrier for mortality or something like that.
He still had the little, not a gargoyle. I don't know the word. The
like some kind of creation.
Yeah. It looked infected.
Yeah, I have no idea what exactly they were doing. This is strictly swag.
I'm sorry, what?
sophisticated wild-ass guess.
Right. We will need either Neil / maybe Ira, if he's willing to talk about Tremere things, to really put any of that together.
Neil seemed to think that I thought I had put Neil in danger by endangering everything with Prince Pendragon by being activated. But he seemed to think that he had put me in danger somehow.
By coming for you.
Yeah, you had specifically told us not to.
That didn't seem like it was the case. I mean, Prince Pendragon was pretty much just ignoring him.
That was not the impression you gave us over the phone. Something to the degree of killing you.
If we showed up.
Yeah, I think he didn't find Neil to be very important. I think he was annoyed, for sure. But so long as I kind of kept pushing Neil away and not letting him in or talking to him about stuff, just sticking with Prince Pendragon. So I was hoping that would keep Neil alive.
So under the impression he was going there to discreetly look out for you.
Oh.
Based on your story, that sounds like you went up and introduced himself.
Yeah.
Neil wasn't right after I killed the abbot.
All right.
Neil, he came and found me while I was getting my head back together. And he
seemed a little beast hungry around the eyes.
Yeah. And I don't think he'd like that one of us was taken because we're his. He gets spun up about magazines.
Neil was, definitely trying to help, but he, look, I know you don't like Prince Pendragon, but it meant a lot to me that he kept his word, and he did protect me on several occasions, and he was kind of, Neil was really worried about me, and I get why he was trying to get me away, but it was risky.
Pendragon was dependable, you would say. Of all the traits Brujah have, we're almost always dependable.
He was at least honest, it seemed.
Honesty and dependability does not make a good person. Don't forget that.
Yeah, to my mind, he kidnapped a fledgling Toreador away from the people she trusted and manipulated her into doing things under threat of hurting the people she loved. He's not a good person.
A lot of our allies aren't.
I'm aware. I am under no compunction that I am a good person. But I've been inside a dragon at this point, and I am willing to look away from some of the dirtier parts of people if they're going to help us kill the thing that it's a part of.
Part of the reason we don't like Pendragon much is because he, kidnapped you.
Yeah.
Don't be too hard on yourself, Wynn. You're better than most of them.
Of the dragons?
Vampires.
I mean, of all the dragons I've met, yes.
If it helps, I'm just hoping that we can still work things out.
I don't think we'll have a lot of choice in that, but it does sound like Operation Longbow took a pretty big hit.
No, I'm sorry, but it seemed like the clans in connection to us more so. There were a lot of Toreador there with Elsa Linden, and we tried to warn the ones that were in the room trying to help her, but, there were a lot of Toreador there. And most of the other elders, as I said, that party, most people died.
Yes, which includes a good amount of their people.
Not if most of the people that survived were Malkavians and Nosferatu, and Pendragon tried to protect the Brujah there.
Oh, did you see all these people get away? Because it sounded like a lot of people died.
You don't really see Nosferatu trying to get away. But there were passageways that were sealed off and locked. Very expensive and well-made locks into strange places, tunnels, that kind of thing. And a lot of the Nosferatu were working security details anyway, so out in the woods or able to keep to the fringes. The Malkavians I'm not so sure about. Neil did something strange, and then Sir William Biltmore was laughing, like he'd gotten the message.
True, but if you're attacking a no Nosferatu party, you come prepared for Nosferatu.
I think they just wanted to wipe out the Camarilla there like a tidal wave to send a message that they were coming. A lot of it was done for fear, for effect.
Feels familiar.
When they make attacks like that, they often are targeting elders.
They were calling out for elders. There were a couple of them that seemed more important. One that was...
A lot of the other party guests may have gotten away because they were focusing on just a few individuals.
Johnny, I don't know if you'd recognize the ones that seemed important. There was one, I don't know if they were a man or a woman, or I don't know what to call. I guess I'll go with them. Although part of me kind of wants to go with it.
You must be talking about the Vicos.
Like they were wearing their own skin like it was clothes, and something about them seemed like they were reaching out with their mind very powerfully and with magic.
Priscus Sasha Vicos. It's one of the oldest members of the Sabbat. I've never seen it, but I've heard of its legend.
It was throwing fireballs and seemed like it was sharing command with...
It is a powerful Tzimisce sorcerer. As I've heard, it was once born a man. But when the Sabbat became the sect it is, it discarded its manhood so that it could ascend into something greater. Things like mortal gender are merely things it wears as it suits it. It is old and terrifying. I can't tell if I'm jealous or sorry for you that you had to experience that.
It was sharing command with someone. Well, the killing spree seemed like they had positions of importance.
The Vicos was sharing command?
Yes.
I can only think of a few people that could have been. Did they have a sunburn?
Yes. White tuxedo, handsome, maybe dark hair.
That is the Cardinal of New York. His name is Polonia. He is something of a celebrity, warlord, and high priest amongst the La Sombra. They venerate him, they love him, and they are terrified of him all at once. He is from the old line stretching back to Europe. Legend has it he came to the old world, or he came to the new world, and his pale skin didn't like the sun. And when he was embraced, it stuck with him. And anybody who speaks as flippantly as I am about him in his presence meets final death. Britta, you saw one hell of a crusade.
Yeah, and, Delgado was doing a lot of damage. He had taken this form, almost unrecognizable, but I could still see his hair.
We saw that.
Yeah.
Is that what Vito made me into?
Not quite.
Alright, gang. It's a lot on our plate here. Guess the other thing we should talk about is Eden.
I thought that maybe she'd be safer with the mortals because it seems like vampires are trying to hunt her down, and if she's seen with us, those that know what a dampier is are gonna want her dead and us dead too.
It is a good notion, but we cannot dump that responsibility into the lap of my daughter and her friends.
Yeah.
Unless they are in a much better position than they currently are. Which means I need to find her and the hunters and make sure they're okay. And that's before we have any conversations about letting Eden go with them.
That makes sense.
If Mr. Giovanni is looking to collect little girls with marks like hers, I shouldn't know where she is.
That's fair.
Because I will not voluntarily give that information away, but I have no idea what he's capable of.
I think I don't know, it's just a feeling that I have that he didn't want to get caught looking by you.
It's possible.
I'm not entirely.
The problem is, wherever she goes, I think we need her.
Because of her ability to undo the vicissitude?
Yeah. Like, I sent final goodbyes, guys. I wasn't walking out of that chantry.
She undid the vicissitude. done to you, do you think she could undo the damage done to your psyche?
I don't know. She was pretty unsure of her own powers when we talked to her before.
I think if she can do that, maybe we should see if she can do it for herself first.
Do you remember the thing that Ira recited to us? It seemed like something he'd memorized.
About the last daughter of Eve saving all mankind, and we'd know her by marks on her.
Right. Did you catch the part about the pain and suffering, essentially, that is caused to her by our kind?
Sure, it was there.
That part concerns me more as much as the rest of it. Why would she save our kind if that's what happens to her? It makes me feel like we need to do more.
I don't think that stopping vicissitude is about saving kindred kind. I think it's about protecting the world.
I can't remember. It's not really my
No, I'm just...
forte.
So the thing I pulled a ticket to get back to was that outside of that safe room, the spiritual landscape was gone. Not like used, not like wiped clean. Gone.
You had said that you could see that the shard of the eldest was alive in the Shadowlands, infecting.
It changed the Shadowlands. It changed outside, but that close in, it ripped it away. There is a void there.
Is that something that can be healed?
I don't know if it's something that can be healed, but I want to believe that it's something that can be prevented before it happens in the Skinlands, where we are, just in case it wasn't self-referential enough.
I got it. I'm unsure.
I don't know what she can do. I know what she did do.
We may have to hide her here, and on top of that, we may need to train her.
I'm sorry, what?
Make her stronger.
Oh, I thought you said drain her.
Oh, no. Sorry. Train her. Train her, much like we did with Britta.
That's a whole different proposition.
Yeah.
A lot more agreeable.
I really hope you guys would not just think that I would drain a small girl.
It's been a very long night. Everyone's senses are a little in overdrive and in weird places, man.
Okay.
No, I think you're right about having to train her. I'm racking my brain for our list of allies who might be able to help, and unfortunately it's very fucking thin.
We have to keep this very close
to our chest.
What about the Anarchs?
No.
Through Weathers?
No. I trust the old man, but this is not a burden that I can give to him.
And they've got snakes up the wazoo.
And this is no slight against Weathers, but that guy doesn't take chances. And keeping her alive is a big fucking chance.
I mention the Anarchs because they take Kadif. They take the Thin Bloods that the Cam and the Sabbat just either uses cannon fodder or worse.
It's a good thought, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to be... She needs to be somewhere where people can keep her safe. And right now, the Anarchs are dealing with the Setites.
Then let's deal with the Setites.
I mean, I'm not opposed, but they seem to be a bit stronger than just strolling down to their local snake temple and kicking them out.
And they're probably gonna get stronger because the Tremere got a lot weaker. They'll fill the vacuum. They've been waiting to.
Or the Assamites will.
Yeah, currently the Setites aren't very welcome in New Haven.
I think it settles it. I think Eden's going to stay with us, and she's going to be our problem.
She's not a problem.
Oh, you're right. Bad phrasing.
Mm-hmm.
Responsibility.
Charge.
Feels like the same thing.
I feel like we're all kind of problems, actually.
I mean, I make it a point to be one. Pretty much
I am
wherever
a
I go.
solution. Thank you very much. The only problem is twofold. Reese is somewhere.
And he knows that we have her.
Yeah.
Is Reese a problem?
When hasn't he been?
Well, during the fight, I felt him help. There was like a sensation like he was asking me to pick someone, and I didn't know what he wanted and if I could trust him, so I picked myself in case he was gonna put magic on someone that would hurt someone, and it felt like I could dodge anything, and I was ready to keep on distributing, I guess, spells from him. He stopped. I don't know why, but he did help during the fight.
Well, he was keeping the girl prisoner in his chantry.
He was
So
going
I
to
think
kidnap Neil.
For that reason alone, I think he shouldn't have any more contact with her, but I don't think he's got designs on her beyond that, does he?
I don't know.
I don't think he'd keep her if he didn't.
That's a fair point.
He seemed to think that she would be important for what I was talking about, the Tremere plan to evade Gehenna. a way out so that Kindred wouldn't have to, like, the way that he was talking about her when I first saw him. It seemed like he felt that she was a part of the answer to, I'm sorry, I don't fully understand, but...
Some sort of key to his plan.
Yeah.
Or their plan. Yeah, I'm getting that sense from a lot of different corners.
We need to talk to Ira. He made a face in there like he was scared. Like...
You weren't making a face like you were scared?
I obviously was scared, Johnny, but this was different. This was... There's the, oh shit, I'm staring at a dragon, and there's, oh, I am in so much fucking trouble for what I just did.
No, we can talk to him when he gets back.
And yeah.
You guys, before that was a dragon. When I was going around the chantry trying to find Vito to kill him, I did originally find him, and he had taken over Perrin, and Perrin, through him, had caught me, and he was gonna do a lot of bad things, and I just, with the way that everything shook out, and, that psychic attack, and I could feel too much through it, the intentions, and just wanted to say thank you for killing the dragon.
You helped. You helped.
Do you guys trust Ira?
Aside from us and Neil, I'm not sure I'd really trust anyone at this point. But as far as Tremere go, I don't think he's the worst.
I was going to say the same exact thing.
He's not here under some sort of pretense. I got a decent read out of him. I don't know if that is going to leave him at cross purposes to Reese or not. I think he's very committed to the Tremere.
I don't know that any Tremere has any other option than to be committed to the Tremere.
I have no idea what kind of initiation rituals they have.
Just a conga line of dick sucking.
And it is at that, as if summoned by Wynn's words, there is a knock at the door.
Path of Night is a Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the world of darkness. Britta Ashcroft the Toreador was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Johnny Saxon the Bruja was played by Garrett Gabbey. Miles Davenport the Venture was played by Tim Davis. Neil Foster the Malkavian was played by Rob Muirhead. Wynn Cabot the Gangrel was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was composed for Path of Night by Brian Matolius. Find him online at brianmatolius.com. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition of Vampire the Masquerade with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness are owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We can be found on YouTube at youtube.com/@pathofnight. You can help support the show on coffee.com/pathofnight. Find us on twitter.com/pathofnightpod, on facebook.com/pathofnightpodcasts, or email us at pathofnightpodcasts@gmail.com. See you next time, Kindred.
I'm pretty sure the answer is no, but I'm just
Yeah,
trying to double check.
I'm pretty sure the answer is no.
I will say this. You can answer no, and even if there's like some weird tangent where yes it is, you could say no. It doesn't fucking matter. Like,
That's not the point of the question.
you believe no, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry,
then say no.
I was just double checking in case there was like something looking back that, like, with my new knowledge.
You don't have to double check your beliefs.
You know me.